Hey, welcome to One Church. Thanks for being here today. We are in our fourth week in a series called New. And, this is our first series of the year, so we thought, hey, we'll call it New. It's a new year. It's a time to think new. It's time to think about what habits, behaviors do you need to change? What do you need to fix? What does your family need? What needs to be different in 2013 than 2012? So that's the origin of this series. We're actually in the book of Nehemiah, and we're looking at a man who really was unqualified for a job that God called him to do. He didn't have training. He didn't go to school for it, but yet he was called and he was given a mission by God to accomplish. And so we're taking this journey with Nehemiah. We're looking at this story, and this is our third week. Our first week, the message was titled "A New Attitude," and the tagline, the point that we really focused on there is that how you respond to your pain will determine your next chapter. Nehemiah, when we open up the book of Nehemiah in the first chapter, it's actually his memoirs. It's written by him almost like a journal style, and he talks about the pain that he was going through. Let me set the scene for you really quickly. Nehemiah's nation had been destroyed. They had actually separated into a northern and southern kingdom, and then those kingdoms were taken over by outside nations. And for 140 years, his nation was destroyed. They tore down the walls and the gates of the city, so the city was exposed. The nation was under attack, and they were vulnerable and embarrassed. And Nehemiah knew this. This was not new information to him, but it just hit him in a new way. He had some relatives that visited, and they reported to him of what his city was like. The Bible says that Nehemiah sat down, he mourned, and then he fasted and prayed. He mourned, and then he fasted and prayed. Many people take their mourning, their pain, their anguish, and they respond to it in different ways. Some people respond to it by turning to addictions, by turning to dysfunctional relationships, by becoming codependent, becoming addicted. But Nehemiah said, I'm going to take this anguish, I'm going to take this pain, and I'm going to respond to it in a positive way, okay? So if 2013 is going to be different for you and for me, we have to respond in a positive way to even hurtful things that happen. So how you respond to your pain will determine your next chapter. That was the first week, talking about attitude. Second week was talking about new relationships. We introduced this concept of providential relationships. There are people in your world, even some people you don't like, even some people that you kind of wish weren't in your world, and then others who God has put in your world that you do like, but God's brought them into your life to help you to get to where you need to be. Okay, and so we talked about providential relationships. We talked about how we as a church need to do better of just connecting to one another, of being an unselfish friend. And we talked about this, the phrase that week was, let your relationship experiences build wisdom and not walls. All of us at one point or another in a relationship have felt the temptation to begin to build walls around our hearts, especially if you've really been hurt in a deep way. If somebody that you trusted, you found out was not trustworthy, and they drug you through a hellish experience, you know that the tendency then is to try to safeguard yourself and go, that's not going to happen to me again. And by doing that, many times people isolate themselves, and the isolation thing is a myth. It doesn't make you safe. It exposes you. It makes you vulnerable. And so we said, look, grow from your experiences, glean wisdom, okay? Think about what you've learned and then apply the wisdom, but don't allow it to build walls around your heart where you say, I'm not going to let anybody else come in. All right, so that was week 2. Week 3 which last week was new vision. We talked about new vision, and our kind of big phrase last week was learn from your past, but don't live in your past. I had a picture up here of a windshield and a rear view mirror. We said, look, the windshield is what you're supposed to be looking at. The rear view mirror is only meant to be glanced in. You don't stare in the rear view mirror or you get in a wreck, right? Or you drive slowly or cautiously. You're supposed to stare in the windshield because where you're going is bigger than where you're coming from. And God wants to give you a new vision for your life. And it's not your vision, it's His vision. Because if your vision is your vision, then the best you can do will be the best you can do. Don't you want the best God can do or the best you can do, right? So we're talking new vision, and God gave Nehemiah this brand new vision. Now, last week I kind of left it at, in order to accomplish a God-given vision, you've got to have two things. So we're going to talk about those this week. And the two things are this: they are passion and a plan. If you're going to accomplish something great for the kingdom of God and a God-sized vision, you better have passion and you better have a plan. If you have passion and no plan, you're just going to blow up, right? You're going to go nuts. You're going to go spin around in circles. You're going to run around crazy. You're going to expend a ton of energy. But because you don't have a plan, it won't get accomplished. And we're going to talk about plan next week. Today is about passion. Because people who have a plan without passion, without a God-given passion in their hearts, they will get sidetracked and detoured because you will come up against opposition. We're gonna go right into that today. Now, before we do, this message, new passion. I really am believing that today you're gonna leave here inspired, and I believe that through the power of God, some of you who maybe have not had passion or you've lost passion will reclaim your passion. Now, I got to tell you, I love passionate people. It really doesn't even matter to me what they're even passionate about. I just really dig intense, passionate people, okay? My wife, when we first met, she was kind of starting to fall for me a little bit, and she thought, you know what, I better do a little bit of research on this dude. And so she began to go and talk to some of my friends and talk to people that she knew that knew me. And they said to her, or she said to them, tell me what he's like. You know, I just met him, but I want to know what he's really like. You've known him longer than I have. What's Greg really like? And they said, and she told me this later, that everyone she talked to said, whatever Greg does, he's all in on. He is a passionate dude. It doesn't matter if he's playing tic-tac-toe or if he's playing tiddlywinks. It doesn't matter. The dude, whatever he's doing is passionate. And that's how I'm wired. Before I really had any depth to my spiritual life, whatever I was doing, I was all in on. I would cry after sporting events and games. You know, even as a little kid, when the Browns would lose, it would ruin my week. I'd be ticked off. I'd be upset. I'd been known to throw video game controllers all across for Mario Brothers. You know what I'm saying? Nothing that's changing the world. We're just talking just sort of intense for no reason, okay? And so this kind of, but I'm drawn to these people, like intense people I love. When I got to college, okay, and I responded to God's call to serve him in ministry, I had never really met somebody who was intensely passionate about God who was my age. Everybody that I knew that was really following God with intensity was like 20 years older than me. Or were like girls. I didn't know any guys. I did not know any masculine men who were following God with all their heart. And I get to college and I meet this dude named Forrest, all right, which is totally accurate because the dude looks like a lumberjack. All right, I mean, this guy was from Colorado. The dude was a masculine guy, and I've never met somebody more passionate about God. And I was drawn to him. I was like, man, I've never seen somebody who loves God so much. I would be the guy in worship, because I thought I'd never seen a masculine guy express himself to the Lord. I'd kind of be, there'd be just this intent, Christ alone, cornerstone, he's paid it all. And I'm sitting there like this because that's what I thought men did. Right? And then I see this guy just laying his life down for Jesus. I was like, man, there's something about this guy. I said, man, I want to hang out with you more. He goes, you want to hang out with me? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, let's hang out Friday night. I'm like, sweet, man, let's hang out. What are we doing? What are we going to do? He's like, we're going to go downtown Dallas, and we're going to witness to homeless people. We're going to tell homeless people about Jesus. I was like, really? I thought we were going to go to Applebee's and watch a ball game. No, he's like, no, man, we're going to downtown Dallas. So here I am. I find myself downtown Dallas, Texas, witnessing to these homeless people. We're there, we're sitting there, we're talking to this guy, a large man. The guy was probably about 6'3", 6'4", a big guy. And I'm watching Forrest tell this guy about Jesus. And the guy starts to tell him, he goes, listen, man, I'm homeless, and I've been addicted to drugs, but I'm at a breaking point, man. I'm ready to make a change. Forrest is like, are you ready to make a change? Are you ready to make a change? The guy's like, yes, I'm ready to make a change. He goes, all right, come with me. Forrest looks at me and goes, he's going to stay the night with us in our dorm. I was like, what? I was like, wait, what? I was like, are you crazy? He's like, yeah, no, he's like, we're going to get him something to eat. You got any money? I was like, you're asking me for money? What are you doing right now? Checks with your mouth, you can't cash? I was like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, we're going to bring this homeless guy. Let's get him some McDonald's. Let's give him a place to stay, and then we're going to take him to this life challenge program. I was like, oh my gosh. So we get, I am not exaggerating this story one iota. I'm telling you exactly what happened. We get him back to the suburb of Dallas where our school was. We take him to McDonald's, and I'm thinking, I need to find out a little bit more about this guy. Forrest just kind of committed us to something. I'm in there, I'm talking to him. I'm like, hey, dude, so tell me a little bit more about you. Where have you been? And he said, I just got out of prison. Dead serious. Now, mind you, this was not some puny little, this is a big dude. I said, no kidding. I said, so what were you in for? And he said, attempted murder. Dead serious. No pun intended, dead serious. And so we take this guy back to our dorm, and Forrest goes to sleep, okay? The whole night, I just laid like this. I'm thinking, I'm not going to sleep. This guy's going to kill me and take all my stuff, right? Just laying there like this. I didn't sleep the entire night. We take this guy to a life challenge program, and the dude gets his life straightened out. And I learned, I'm like, this guy, he was confident. He was confident in God. He was willing to take risks. Sometimes kind of crazy. Sometimes things you're like, you might want to think that out, maybe want to use a little more wisdom, but there was a passion, there was an intensity to this guy. And look, the thing about passion is it comes out differently for people. Some people, when they're passionate, they get loud. Some people, when they're passionate, they get quiet and they get focused. They become more focused. It doesn't matter to me how you express it. If I get around you and you have passion, I want to be around you more and I want to find out about it. So let me ask you, because I guarantee you have something that's dear to you. Something you're passionate about. Let me ask, what makes you cry? What makes you mad? What makes you mad? Is there something that you see and you watch it and it comes on the TV and have you ever found yourself up yelling at the TV? Nobody's listening, you're yelling to the TV. Something that you watch and this subject, whatever it might be, something just grabs your heart and just causes tears to come to your eyes. Or maybe let's flip it. Let's go the other way. What brings you great joy? What is it in your life that brings you unbelievable satisfaction? That when you do it, you're like, that's what I'm here for. That thing, it doesn't matter if I ever get paid for it. It doesn't matter. I would do it for free for the rest of my life. That thing brings me great satisfaction. That's how we begin to find our passions that are inside of us. What are you passionate about? I love taking people on missions trips to other countries, other places, especially places, because in America, we don't know what tough times are. America's the only country where people go hunting on a full stomach. Seriously, that's weird. The rest of the world goes hunting so they can eat, and we go hunting on a full stomach. We think we have problems. I love taking people to other places. I love going and experiencing it for myself because it reignites this passion. It puts life into perspective and things that are really important come back to the surface. And it's interesting because when you look at what you're passionate about, many times when you begin to trace your passions back to their origins, a lot of times, sometimes the bedrock, the thing at the root of that passion is pain. Is pain. Now think about this. Here's Nehemiah. Nehemiah, totally unqualified. He's a fish out of water. He is a cupbearer is his job, a cupbearer. which means he sipped the king's wine before the king did to make sure the king didn't get poisoned. God calls him to go lead an effort to rebuild the walls of a destroyed city. The Bible says he mourned. He felt this intense pain, and so he left his comfort. He left everything that was familiar. He goes to this new place and does it. He has this passion that we're going to look even today to see what he persevered through. But he did it, and at the very root of it was the pain of a destroyed city. I want to give you hope today in your pain. Because you may have gone through something in this last year that was so painful, you can't even talk about it yet. You can't even speak about it. When you start to talk about it, tears start to flood your eyes. You get emotional, and it hurts, and you're like, am I ever going to find relief in this? And this is the beautiful thing about God, is that if you give your pain to God, he will heal it, he will restore it, and then he will turn it into passion. You give your pain to God, he will heal it, he will restore it, and then he will turn it into passion. When I went to Bible school, I didn't go to Bible school my whole time in college. I started at a secular university, and then I ended up at Bible school when I felt God calling me into ministry. So I ended up at Bible school, and I start meeting these guys who came through these life challenge, teen challenge. Basically, it's like drug rehabilitation, drug and alcohol rehabilitation with a spiritual piece to it. So they're not just like, hey, it's willpower. It's like dependent upon God to help you through it. They come through it. And so, you know what happened? You want to talk about passionate people. You want to talk about, these are some of the most passionate people you'll ever meet in your life because they've come through pain. These are guys who were selling everything that, they were selling their kids' toys to get drugs. These are people who were hopeless, suicidal, homeless, and God restored them. He healed them, restored them. So guess what they want to do? They want to go and grab everyone who's in pain, everyone who has the same addictions and going through the same things, and look at them and go, you can make it, you can make it. You know how I know? Not because I heard it in some story, because I lived it. These are the most passionate people you'll ever meet in your life. What's at the root of it? Pain, painful experiences. Painful experiences. You might find that the things that have hurt you the most in life, when you give them to God and you watch him heal them and restore them, he will generate them, he will turn them and recreate them into passion. That then you find yourself passionate to help people, to empathize with people who have gone through things that you have gone through or are going through. Pain brings depth to your passion. Pain brings depth to your passion. I'm not saying this to make light of your pain. I'm saying this to give you hope in your pain. There's hope. All right, so let's look at Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 2. I'm going to show you the passion of this guy. All right, Nehemiah chapter 2, starting in verse 11. So Nehemiah's gone to the king. He put himself on the line. He took a big risk. He asked the king, can you help me? The king said yes. And the king gave him everything that he needed to go accomplish this journey. But now here he goes outside of the king's view. He's going out into uncharted waters. Here we go. Nehemiah 2, 11 through 14. He says, so I arrived in Jerusalem 3 days later. I slipped out during the night, taking only a few others with me. I had not told anyone about the plans that God had put in my heart for Jerusalem. Remember, we talked about this last week. These were plans. He knew they were God plans. By the way, when you know God's called you to do something, when you know that God has put something in your heart, there's a whole new level of passion in that. Whole new level of passion. So he said, I knew that God had put this in my heart. He said, we took no pack animals with us except the donkey I was riding. After dark, I went out through the valley gate, past the jackal's well, and over the dung gate to inspect the broken walls and burned gates. Then I went to the fountain gate into the king's pool, but my donkey couldn't get through the rubble. All right, so picture this. It is so, the city has been decimated so bad, he can't even get through. All he sees is just piles. How overwhelming would that be? You're not a contractor, you're not a construction worker, you're a cupbearer, and you've been given this huge assignment, and there's so much rubble you can't even find your way through it. Is that it? Is there next part of it? Okay. All right, so this is the situation he finds himself in. Actually, go to verse 16. And so he says, the city officials did not know I had been out there or what I was doing, for I had not yet said anything to anyone about my plans. I had not yet spoken to the Jewish leaders, the priests, the nobles, the officials, or anyone else in the administration. But now I said to them, you know very well what trouble we are in. Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates have been destroyed by fire. Let us rebuild the walls of Jerusalem and end this disgrace. Verse 18, then I told them about how the gracious hand of God had been upon me and about my conversation with the king. It says they replied at once, yes, let's rebuild the wall. So they began the good work. Let me tell you something. Passion is contagious. Like I said earlier, you find somebody who's passionate, you're drawn to them. And so because Nehemiah gave his pain to God and it turned into passion, he finds himself, he's not a polished speaker, he's not an orator, he's not a public speaker, but here he finds himself, the passion begins to overflow from inside him. He's given a William Wallace speech, okay, for these guys. He's like, come on, let's rally. In fact, as you start to read the speeches that he gives at one point, he's like, for our daughters and our sons and our kids, like I'm hearing him with like a Scottish accent, on a horse, with war paint on. I mean, he's giving these speeches. You know what? He didn't have to sit down and map it out and put down his points. He just thinking got up and the passion flowed out of him. And because of that, people said, I want to get behind that. Guess what? Passion is a big deal. Passion's a big deal. In fact, passion is more important than position. Passion is more important than position. Some people in their minds have disqualified themselves from leading, from accomplishing a vision, from moving forward because they don't have a position. I'm not in charge. I'm not the boss at work. It's not my responsibility. I don't have any clout. I'm the new guy. I'm the new lady. I'm too young. I'm too young. These people wouldn't listen to me. I've got nothing to say. And so people disqualify themselves because of position. But guess what? Passion trumps position. Passion, people with a God-given passion inside, they just lead whether they have a position or not. Eventually, they'll have to create a position for you. They'll have to make up a title because you're leading people through your passion. So don't wait for a position. Don't wait to get promoted before you just promote yourself. I just promoted myself with my passion. You don't get a raise for it, all right, but you can start leading. You start leading. Has God put a passion inside of you for something? Just start doing it. You don't have to have a degree in it. You don't have anybody to give you permission. I just did. You have permission. Go be passionate about the thing that God's put inside your heart. Go do it. Nehemiah didn't walk into these. Notice who he's talking to. He's talking to the leaders, the priests, the leaders. He didn't flash a badge. He didn't show them a diploma. He started talking out of the passion from his heart. He said, guys, look, this disgrace has gone on long enough. I'm tired of this rubble is ridiculous. God's hand is on us. We are the people of God. We can't let this happen anymore. What are we doing? Let's get together. Let's bind together. Let's put our differences aside and let's join together to accomplish this mission. And his passion began to stir something up from inside of him. Have you lost your passion? You find your passion fizzling? Fatigue giving way, passion giving way to fatigue. See, there's a distinction I want to make. There's a difference between passion and hype. Sometimes people mix those two up. Hype is fake passion. Hype is pretend passion. Hype is like it burns in and out. You get hyped up for something, you get pumped up, and then you fizzle out. People who they're hyped up, they'll get excited for something for a few weeks and then it burns out. Passion is something put deep inside of you that it doesn't go away. Now, that doesn't mean that all the time your flesh just feels all jazzed up and caffeinated and ready to just run for days. There are times you get tired and fatigued. There's times fear sets in. But a passion doesn't go away. A passion says, I gotta keep fighting for this thing. You know the reason a lot of marriages fizzle out is because it's not built on passion, it's built on hype. They got together not because they were in love, but because they were horny. They thought, let's just hook up. It was all physical. There was no depth to it. So they get together, and then the going gets tough, and there's no real passion. There's not a deep commitment. A passion is like, I'm going to stay in this thing. Like, I'm going to keep fighting for it. Like, even though we've had this same fight 100 times, I'm going to have it again. I got an email from somebody this week who told me about their parents divorcing, and they said, I knew there was a problem when my parents quit fighting. Some of you need a good fight. That's why your sex life is bad, because you haven't fought in a while. Seriously. You quit fighting. You need to just have an epic fight so that you can make up like the world's going to end tomorrow. Would bring passion back into it, but you've quit. You've quit fighting. You know what? There's two things in this life I'm real passionate about. Two things. One is my family, and second is people who don't know Jesus. Those are the two things I really give a rip about. Everything else, I don't really care that much about, honestly. I've got a few possessions that I kind of like. I sort of like my iPad, I like my iPhone, but I could live without them. I'm a Buckeye fan, but if the Buckeyes cease to exist, I'm going to keep living, right? But I care like you can't believe about my family, and I care about lost people. Those are the two things that that like get me up in the morning. Two things that draw the passion. Two things I will fight for. I will fight for. Now here's the deal. My kids, my wife, they mean everything to me, right? And I love Jesus, and I know verses about turning the other cheek, but if you try to hurt my family, okay, I will hit you so many times you'll think you're fighting an octopus. I will cut you. You try to hurt my family. I will stab you with the nearest thing. You try to hurt my family, because I care about them. Now listen, some people, probably everyone in this room feels that way, but guess what? Some of you, it's not a physical person coming against your family. It's a demonic force. It's something that's coming in and just kicking your family in the teeth. It's messing your marriage up, and you're not fighting it. You quit. We're not fighting anymore. We're done. We've thrown in the towel. We've given up, and it's worth fighting for. There's some things worth fighting for. There's some things worth being passionate about. There's some things worth getting back up on the saddle. I'm not going to quit on this thing. This is deep in my heart. I'm going to keep doing it. Don't quit, man. Don't quit, sister. Don't quit, brother. Keep fighting for it. Stay in it. God gave you that family. God gave you that marriage, man. Don't cash it in. Fight for it. Fight for it. Get back up. I'm passionate about lost people. I believe the Bible, when the Bible says that the wages of sin is death. And if you die apart from Christ, you die in darkness. You spend eternity in hell. I believe that. And I believe that if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart the Lord Jesus, that you are saved. That's what the Bible says, and I buy that. I believe that. That's why we have this church. We didn't start this church so we can have a cruise ship. We started this church so we can have a battleship. That's what we're here for. If the only reason that we started this church is because we believe this is the best way to reach people who don't know Jesus. If we figure out a better way, we'll do that. And we won't do this. That's what we're about. If somebody wants to come and create opposition, if you come in from the outside, I don't care how much money you have, I don't care how much influence you have, if you're trying to take us off mission of reaching people who don't know Jesus and you try to make it about you or something unhealthy, my passion will outlast you. You better you better pack a lunch and a weapon, because I guarantee you I'm not going to stop. This is too important. This is why we do this. This is what it's about. The gravitational pulls of selfishness will not take us away. I care about my family and I care about lost people. Those are the two hills I'm willing to die on. Now, look at this. Look at Nehemiah's life. Watch his passion. All right, here's this guy. He thinks he's doing a construction job. He thinks that his biggest challenge is going to be blueprints and digging foundations and raising walls, okay? That's what he thinks. And then he gets there. Now, look what happens. Go ahead and go to that next verse. He says, but when Sanballat and Tobiah, these are two men who were threatened by the Jews, the Israelites, raising back up. How many of you know when you start to move forward with new vision and a new attitude, not everybody's happy about it? You ever notice that? Have you ever found yourself taking some steps forward and there's always somebody to hate on you? There's always somebody to try to cut you down. There's always somebody to try to remind you that your walls are in rubble and that you've been jacked up for 140 years. This is who Sanballat and Tobiah. Sanballat's probably mad because his name was Sanballat. I would be mad too. And Geshem, the Arab, heard about our plan. They scoffed contemptuously. What are you doing? Are you rebelling against the king? So they try to be noble at first. Are you rebelling against the king? No, idiot. I got a letter from the king, and I've got his permission to do this. All right, so they start with the noble. Well, you guys must be rebelling against the king. When that gets shot down, he said, I replied, the God of heaven will help us succeed, and his servants will start rebuilding this wall, but you have no share, no legal right or historic claim in Jerusalem. All right? And then it says this, okay, so that was their first opposition, was to go noble, to be noble, right? Here's their second one. It says this, they continue to move forward. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. We're going to hit these in the next few weeks. I just want you to see it. It says, Sanballat was very angry when he learned that we were rebuilding the wall. He flew into a rage and mocked the Jews, saying in front of his friends and the Samaritan army officers, what does this bunch of poor, feeble Jews think they're doing? Do they think they can build the wall in a single day or by just offering a few sacrifices? Do they actually think they can make something of stones from a rubbish heap and charred ones at that? Tobiah the Ammonite, who was standing beside him, remarked, this stone wall would collapse if even a fox walked along the top of it. Ha 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 ha. Idiot. Seriously. So he starts noble, then the Bible says he flies into a rage and begins to mock him. Have you ever had somebody come over and kick over your sandcastles? Seriously. In life, the things you're trying to build, you're trying to create, when you need people to get on board, and you got these people, for whatever reason, flying off in a rage and trying to mock and scoff them. So they start noble, whatever. Then they go into this, and they think, well, if we can't go noble, if that one doesn't work, then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to try to discourage them. And we're going to scoff at them, and we're going to belittle them. Have you ever had somebody try to make you feel little? Belittle you, make you feel young, make you feel silly. That's what they try to do. So he says, even if a fox walked on top of this, it would fall apart. So then the next one, so this is what he does next. It says, then the people of Judah began to complain. The workers are getting tired, and there's so much rubble to be moved. We'll never be able to build the wall by ourselves. Can you imagine being Nehemiah here? So you've got these dudes hating on you from the outside. Now you got your people inside who are trying to help you do this, and they're getting tired. They're like, oh my gosh, this is an overwhelming task. We can't get this done. So now you have outside forces, you have inside forces. It says, meanwhile, our enemies were saying, before they know what's happening, we will swoop down on them and kill them and end their work. This went from playing noble to scoffing and trying to belittle to real threats. Now they threatened him. And they said, we're going to kill them. We're going to attack them. Now what you're going to see in the next few weeks is that it gets so bad. It gets so bad for Israel that they literally are building this wall with a tool in one hand and a weapon in the other hand. Literally. They've got a weapon in this hand, a tool in this hand. It's hard enough to build a wall to a city with no opposition, with just, gravity and everything working against you. When you've got people trying to now kill you, having to work one-handed, they had to split their crew in half. Half of them working on the wall, half of them standing guard. You don't stick this one out if you're not passionate. Would have been very easy to go, you know what, dude? I'm just a cupbearer. I didn't go to school for this or this. I had the right intentions. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But let's just be honest, guys. I'm not a builder, and I'm certainly not a warrior. I'm just a cupbearer. See, that would have been the response if this had just been hype. If this was hype, you're gone. You maybe endure the name calling, you endure the fox comment, but you don't endure the death threat. The death threat makes you back off. But he stuck it out. You know why? Because there was a deep-seated passion in his heart. And Nehemiah realized something. There are some things worth fighting to the death for. There are some things. Not everything. You know, the sad thing is, some of us are fighting battles right now. We're wasting all kinds of energy and focus fighting battles that are not worth fighting to the death for. Stuff that'll blow over. I'm talking about, some of you are using real anxiety on things that you're not even going to remember in 5 years. You're fighting about things with your spouse that you will tell the story in the future, and you'll go, what were we upset about again? What was it? So not worth dying for. But there are some things, I'm talking deep-seated passions, worth giving up everything for, worth dying for. And Nehemiah knew he had one. So he said, look, I'm willing to split my group in half. I'm willing to stay the course. I'm willing to not tuck tail and run back to my castle where I can just sip wine again and have the cushy job. I'm willing to stay in this. I'm willing to see this through to the end, and I'm willing to do it. The only way was a deep, deep passion in his heart. Let me ask you this question. What are you willing to fight for? What are you willing to fight for? What are you willing to give your life for? What are you willing to turn away from other things and say, I don't care if I lose everything else. I'm willing to have everything stripped of me, but I have to accomplish this thing. I know it. It's deep. It's burning in my heart. And even though the flame for some of you, because of maybe fatigue or exhaustion or discouragement, because maybe some people on the outside have hated on you, they've spoken negatively, they've belittled you, they've taken the wind out of your sails, they've caused you to lose steam, and so your flame is beginning to wither a little bit, but you know in there, this thing's too big, I can't quit on this. God put this in my heart. I gave that pain to God. He healed it. He restored it. And he gave me this passion. And even though right now it seems like a long shot, I can't quit on it. Even though this might cost me some things. It might cost me to be misunderstood. It might cost me some reputation. It might cost me to lose some friends. It might cause me to lose some face. But I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to fan that flame. I'm going to throw some kindling on it. I'm going to hit my knees. I'm going to pray to God. I'm going to ask God to restore to me the joy of my salvation, to recalibrate me. I'm going to strip myself of the things that I don't need and the things that are holding me back. I'm going to put the petty disputes to the side, and I'm going to focus on what matters. I'm going to give my life to it. That's passion. What is it? There's something in there. All of us know. You know, even though our gravitational pull is to comfort, all of our gravitational pull is to comfort. This time of year, you walk out, it's cold outside, you're thinking retirement, right? Come on, be honest. You're like, dude, I can't wait. So I just want to get an RV. I just want to go to the ocean, right? Your gravitational pull is to comfort, but there's something inside of you that knows that you were created for a purpose and a mission and for a battle. You know it. It's not just a guy thing. It's a people thing, you know it. Some of the most intense, passionate individuals I've ever seen are ladies who God has put something in their heart and they won't quit on it. They won't quit on it. They keep coming back to it. They'll fight for it. I remember one time my wife and I were arguing with each other. We were in this big fight. And I was like, let's just stop. I'm done. I don't want to fight anymore. And she looked at me and she goes, I love you so much that I will fight for you even if it means I have to fight you. I knew she loved me. I knew in that moment she was willing to fight for us even if it meant fighting me, even if it meant coming back to it. Don't quit. Don't quit. What's that passion? Light it up. Take it back to God. Take that pain. Don't stuff it. Don't put walls around it. Don't let it go out. Don't quit. Don't commit suicide. Maybe there's somebody here who's thinking of ending their life. Think their purpose is gone. Don't do it. Don't quit on your marriage. Stay in it. Don't quit on your purpose, that dream God's put in your heart. It's in there. Don't quit on your kids. Don't quit on them. They're not done. The last chapter's not been written. Stay in it. Stay in it. I know there are times you have to take a step back. You got to cut your army in half work, half guard. You might have to work with a tool in one hand and a weapon in the other hand, but it's worth it. It's worth it. There's some things worth fighting for. What is it for you? What is it for you?